HGC fans, today's the big one. We just saw Team Dignitas go up against Fnatic, and Team Dignitas was able to make it through. Later on today, Heroes Hearth Esports goes up against Tempo Storm. And Jay-How, Tempo Storm, they have been working their way back to the level of aggression, the level of play that we knew from them in the last phase with Vin. Is it enough to take out Heroes Hearth?
It's kind of funny how many people started to write this team off the minute Psalm left, and so many people, Psalm, best player in NA, has left Tempo Storm, and everybody starts writing them off. It's not the stronger team. And on the surface, it does look weaker, but then you look at their record and they're undefeated, almost a similar, only I think one game back from Heroes Hearth in that win-loss column. I think we might have written them off a little bit too soon.
Well, looking at the standings, we can indeed see that both of the teams heading into this match have remained undefeated, but only one can go farther. And because of that, because both of them are sitting at 5-0, this will no doubt be a match that we don't just talk about today, we don't just talk about for the rest of this part, but will be talked about going forward when we look at playoffs. Because last phase, Heroes Hearth Esports tried their darndest to dethrone Tempo Storm after they sat atop the standings at part 1. And if both of them continue to play like this and continue to put up the results like this, then it's going to be a big match talking about who is at the end of the entire phase for BlizzCon at the top of the standings.
We'll see how that plays out, but some things that did play out earlier today was Method versus Leftovers. DAB showed his Tracer was strong in game 1, but after that, Method said no more of that, ends up taking the next 3. And then Fnatic Dignitas, despite Fnatic winning that first game, Gilly, Dignitas showed their strength, and in that rivalry still say that, hey, we're the best right now.
Continuing to be 6-0 now. One of our NA teams will join them in that after today in our second match, but our first match is going to be Team Octalysis versus No Tomorrow. Jay-How, No Tomorrow still looking for their first victory of the phase, similar to LFM yesterday as they took on Simplicity, but for No Tomorrow, Team Octalysis is not going to be an easy task.
Despite Octalysis's record, obviously they've stood strong against some of the top competition. They just haven't been able to pull out those series wins, and they feel confident. I don't think their confidence has been shaken at all. Obviously, it hurts to be in the position that they are in, but No Tomorrow on the other side, I've started to hear more and more behind the scenes that No Tomorrow's record, maybe they're on the come up. There's a lot of respect going their way. I don't think people expect them to just skyrocket to the top, but I think people are expecting them to start picking up some of these wins. And there will be some more things that we'll talk about draft-wise, things of that nature. We've seen some unique style drafts from both sides of this, but I think some things might be changing this week as well.
Yeah, No Tomorrow, a team of hardworking individuals, but Octalysis, because they lost to Endemic last weekend, they need every win, and they need to not be dropping games here, so we'll see how they can do. Let's hear from both the support players of these teams as they weigh in on this match.
So pretty much for this week against No Tomorrow, we want to take what we get from scrims and actually paste that into the tournament matches, because that's what we seem to be having a problem with. So as long as we can do that, we'll be fine. No Tomorrow may be at the bottom of the standings, but they're all individually good players. So I think one thing to look out for would maybe be Aka's wacky drafts that could catch us off guard. I expect hopefully a pretty easy series, most likely a 3-0, and it will be on Central server, so optimal circumstances.
Octalysis seems pretty weak right now. This definitely seems to be the right time to be facing them. There's like a random statistic where I've never lost versus Justin in a match when I'm drafting versus them. So we'll see if that plays into it or anything, you know, like 10-0 versus him or something. Octalysis, from like a draft standpoint, I think that they can self-destruct very easily. They'll go with like the ETC first pick on Cursed Hollow like they did versus Endemic, and then it can just completely backfire on them. I think they're kind of their own worst enemy. But yeah, it should be a good match.
Both of these teams known for being willing to pick some niche picks, and though we heard from Prismaticism a few weeks ago that eventually they feel like they'll hone things in on what strategies are going to work for them, I would actually charge No Tomorrow to do the same now, because No Tomorrow, they have had so many different things that they've needed to work on that if they were to stick to the meta, which we know is evolving because of the third ban, then I feel like they would be able to take one thing off the table of what is not working for us as a team. Start to play some of the heroes that other teams have been able to win with, And then once they start getting wins in, they can try to bring their niche picks back in. But with Octalysis drafting, you know, he likes his niche picks.
I've got to give everybody a little bit of context. I actually spoke to both of those players earlier this week.
Yeah.
And Octalysis was excited about that. He's like, look, I'm 10-0 against Justin in drafting. And then he hits me with the DM yesterday. He's like, hold on a second. We switched drafters.
Oh.
And so he's like, we switched drafters. Jen is now going to be drafting this weekend. So I think, to your point, I think they are trying to maybe take a different angle, a different approach on that drafting. We might still see some things spring up. I know Octalysis will still have a voice within those drafts, but it might look slightly different. And so Buds obviously is like wacky drafts. We might still get a little bit of that, but probably a little bit less this weekend.
Well, getting our first battleground going should give us a good indication of what these teams want. That will be Tomb of the Spider Queen, a common pick for Team Octalysis. Also a ban generally for No Tomorrow, but they have switched it up. I did miss the bans, wasn't able to write them down though.
Dragonshire for Octalysis, Infernal for No Tomorrow, and No Tomorrow, they've been going into several ones, most notably the Braxis, as of recent, that Tomb of the Spider Queen that you were mentioning. So feeling comfortable on this. Maybe Jen has something up his sleeve for drafts prepared. He's not as, I guess, afraid of certain maps that he thinks, hey, maybe we can outdraft them. We do know that Johanna has high priority. We've seen a lot of Murd and a very aggressive Murd in play, but also the Garrosh and things of that nature are things that come to mind when we think about Jen and some of the strategies that might come to light here on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Well, talking about Shrines, Shrines was the only overlapping map that both of these teams is willing to pick. That's a long-standing favorite for Team Octalysis, for No Tomorrow. I could see them not wanting to play that necessarily. I also could see them not wanting to play Tomb because, frankly, they've been drafting every single global they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
But, again, having a different drafter, that does lead to wanting to change things up for which battlegrounds we go to. Maybe just trying to get rid of some of the old, long-standing favorites of Team Octalysis, and getting rid of Shrines would be one of those.
Well, Octalysis, the old Roll20 roster, we know this is the battleground that they excelled on. In Phase 1, they still came back to this battleground quite often, despite it, I believe, in Phase 1, having a losing record by the end of the season.
Yeah.
This phase, they've reestablished themselves. They're currently sitting
Undefeated.
at 2-1.
Oh, they did lose one.
2-1.
Okay.
So it has changed up just a little bit. They lost in week. Well, we'll take a look at that later. But Alex Straza coming in for No Tomorrow, or against No Tomorrow for Octalysis as a first ban on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Well, Alex Straza is one of the heroes that rose in priority due to the third bans that we did see yesterday. Alex Straza, another hero being Junkrat, and then some emphasis over Johanna too, though that was different depending on the couple of series that we did see. No Tomorrow is going to stick, though, with removing some of these high priority damage dealers. I think it's very hard to actually limit hero pool wise anybody from Octalysis, but try to take away some of these powerful picks like Dreaded's Tracer, which we saw versus Endemic last weekend, is so far the plan for No Tomorrow.
Notably missing, one of the heroes is going to get let through, maybe both. Genji, which means good old Jimmy. And we saw fall off day number 2 in Europe, started to fall further and further down the drafts. And I think that different maps, different compositions will warrant different styles around the Jimmy. I think Jimmy's still strong. Is he first pick strong for No Tomorrow is the question. And I look at Shrite on the backside, Casanova. Either one of those can play. I think Shrite, I generally favor him more towards the mage style. But Casanova has changed up quite a bit. They are comfortable with the first pick Raynor.
Don't know if I anticipated a first pick of the Raynor, but having a lot of bans already be used for assassins, no doubt, makes that a more comfortable give up of things like Malfurion, which was their first pick. The one game we've seen No Tomorrow play on it in the past. You can't forget things like Blaze, Yrel. Blaze not only is a very safe solo laner, but guards against things like Chromie, which show up a lot on map here. And Johanna and Yrel will be picked by Team Octalysis, so even though we see a lot of bans on assassins, they still feel ultimately extremely comfortable in leaving out their assassins so that they can pick up Johanna for the wave clear and Yrel to be that solid solo laner that we know Goku loves.
Yrel is full beast mode, and one thing that there was a great article on Heroes Hearth from their site when they spoke to Crone about Jimmy, and it's just like, well, Jimmy is good, but Crone said that he still has some of the same struggles, and one of those is the lack of mobility. And it's one thing that Urel can do is get onto that back line, hit the hammer, and get them knocked back in. Wubby's positioning in the last series is just an exemplary way of showcasing that he would just dive there, find his way in eventually, and then knock the target back and give you that priority target. So we'll see if that does come to light on this side, but Diablo Blaze picked up to solidify that front line for No Tomorrow.
What we don't see is the very common duo of Muradin and Urel, which is the Hammer Squad, as I like to think of it, both being able to jump in, get stuns, the stun lock, knock people back. It's just pretty darn difficult to deal with. I think we can expect that we'll probably see it at some point in this series, if not the next one, but for Team Octalysis having Johanna, being willing to change that up shows that they want to make sure that they can respect the amount of wave clear that's necessary on Tomb of the Spider Queen, as we have a Tassadar ban and now a Chromie.
I know Octalysis likes Chromie. I don't like Octalysis playing Chromie. So if
Well, they don't have to now.
Yeah, I think they're doing them Octalysis a favor to keep that away from them. So for Octalysis, Phoenix obviously still available, very strong hero, great wave clear to complement the Johanna. Good frontline control with the punish. Urel getting a little bit of slow action if we can combo all of that. And we'll be paired with the Rhaegar.
Bud's getting his Rhaegar back. And with the Phoenix, we saw another Bloodlust composition, this time from Team Dignitas, but it was with Jimmy Raynor.
How'd that work out?
On Cursed, did not, is your answer.
Yeah, quite simply did not.
Now we've seen two different teams play it in two different regions. It's obvious that teams are testing that, and Bloodlust is very strong for somebody like Jim Raynor.
Well, justifiably so.
Yeah.
Malfurion going to be picked up. Gul'dan, the secondary option. So for Urel, those are a lot of stationary targets with low mobility that Urel can get on top of. Malfurion, I think this is going to have to be a Tranquility game to keep that backline alive. The pairings that we've seen with Jimmy Raynor they've seemed a bit more fragile in that you don't just have one person that's a liability, you now have two people that are a liability on the backline. That's always a little bit more difficult. As Malthael, there's going to be that triple melee again. But the one thing that Jimmy does have now, obviously, is that self-heal that is self-activated and the armor at level 4. We have seen some Behemoth armor come in at times. I don't know if this is going to be the game. I feel the armor is definitely there, but the triple melee for Octalysis, they're no stranger to that style.
No, this is something that they played on Infernal Shrines twice last week in both of their matches. Versus Simplicity, it worked. Versus Endemic, unfortunately falling short, but what it does give them is a lot of ability to body block any targets who are cut out too far. They like to use it versus Blaze because then you're body blocking that jet propulsion so that you can't use it as easily of an escape. And Draded looks very awesome on his Malthael, though this is going to be Prismaticism. And what we've seen from Prismat and Draded is that they are very flexible in sharing back and forth heroes just depending on who feels more comfortable on which hero. What do you make of this?
Something is definitely afoot during scrims to try and figure out the best formula, and I think if they're going to go triple melee, maybe they have a little bit more faith in Draded. I think Draded's played a pretty good Malthael up until this point, and Prismat going to that role. The whole target for me last weekend was a matter of this team discovering their identity of their backliners and solidifying that. I thought that they did that last weekend, but clearly they did not have the same ideas. Their numbers look up across the board on that backline, but they're continuing to change things up. We'll see how it looks today.
Well, yes, we will right now as we head into Tomb of the Spider Queen for the first game of this series, this best of 5 between Team Octalysis and No Tomorrow.
It will be Octalysis here on the left in blue, hoping to keep their Western Clash hopes alive with a victory today. Justin, of course, will be on the front line. He's going to be on Johanna. Goku, we know he likes to wreck people. He's going to be on that Urel. Draded, as we said, will be on the Phoenix. Prismat on Malthael, and of course, Buds will be on the Rhaegar.
Their opponents looking for their first win in Phase 2 are No Tomorrow. Casanova, he'll be rocking the Gul'dan. Tomster will be playing Blaze. Jay Shrita will be showing us his Jim Raynor plays. Jen, Warrior player, and now Drafter playing Diablo and Akaface. He'll be playing Malfurion.
The Malthael into a Diablo, especially a stacked Diablo, where obviously there are new ways to get souls with the reworked Diablo, so he stacks up a little bit easier, but he's still gets that benefit of the minions. This is one of the better maps to stack with. We'll see Last Rites if that comes in, especially against the Malfurion. It does have the limited single target save button.
Well, there is going to be the Malfurion, but also Bunker. It's a matter of when that ends up getting used, and if we see the same kind of patience from Prismaticism that we saw from Draded and waiting out that Bunker, waiting out until the health bar is at a state where it no longer can be saved, because there's nothing like the shielding from Tassadar or anything like that. In fact, that was banned by Octalysis, so that's not going to be able to help Malfurion. With the saving, this team needs to be very cautious, this being No Tomorrow, and when they use those bunkers. Something I want to talk about for Octalysis is, with the way they've been drafting lately, and you talking about finding an identity, it really feels like Octalysis is drafting so that they can macro to team fight. The longer this phase goes on, the more aggressive this team feels, and this continuation with the melee comps only solidifies that for me.
Well, right now they're going to switch off to grab those camps and into that macro focus you discussed. The sieging capabilities, however, will be a little bit more difficult. Into a Jimmy and a Gul'dan, not exactly the easiest. The one thing that they are using the Johanna for is that wave clear. And this is what Johanna brings to you differently than the Muradin style that we've seen a lot of from Justine so far. So now you can prioritize sending other members, whether it's with that camp, whether it's a turn-in. We see Malthael on the minimap getting the siege camp. You can utilize your resources differently when you have Johanna on the front line.
Yeah, Johanna, but also having Rhaegar and that Malthael, they have such fluid laning setups. They have different options for who can solo lane, different options for who can go and pick up camps, and it's really cool to see them use that in a back and forth, almost a dance with all 5 of the team operating. And we know that that's something that's been really important for Octalysis throughout this entire year, is when it comes to shot calling, not having the micromanagement that that team used to be known for. It was a lot more about each person being able to find what they can do to contribute to the team and then working together in a coordinated manner.
Things so far seem to be in Octalysis' favor rotation-wise, but No Tomorrow, they're going to try and switch that up just a little bit. As on the mini-map, you can see they're grabbing a camp of their own, while Jimmy tries to deal with Justine up here. That's a little difficult when he shines a big flashlight in your face, Gilly.
Yeah, blinds are not a Raynor's best friend, but he does have a tanky target who will be up there that he might be able to stack that behemoth armor on with his give him some pepper. A little bit of a scuffle in the bottom lane as Octalysis wanted to get aggressive, push in more since they did have that siege camp in the bottom. Prismaticism has a Wraith Strike to get on the other side of Jhin. They'll be able to make it out, just trying to clear out these bruisers before they can cause any permanent damage to the structures.
You know, when I was thinking about this, behemoth armor, percentage-based damage, the more health you have, the more effective it is. And I really thought that armor would be picked up there to deal with a potential barrage coming out from the purification salvo. Instead, we are going to see that, and I think both of them definitely have a viable case in most circumstances, but Behemoth is going to be the pickup this time.
Yeah, especially when this is a map that's so small and has people rotating around so often that in general you know that you're going to be around people so that you can try to stack that up. So it's understandable to want to have that there. That's a big old chunk of poison damage.
Ooh.
That'll cut through Drayden.
Yeah, Jimmy hit him with the knockback there, the penetrating round, and Casanova said, oh, thanks, this is an easy target. And that's going to keep Octalysis retreating there. Justin, he's going to be stunned out. Look for the flip over here in a second. Iron Skin used to make sure and walk away from that, but more of those corruption stacks are hitting. Sitting at 16 already, and that type of pacing on this battleground with this much melee on the side of Octalysis could have a major impact in the later part of the game, especially if we do see the Ruinous picked up at 16.
Well, last time we saw this third melee Malthael, it was Arthalon playing it yesterday, and he went into more range on his Death Shroud at level 4 after stacking that quest up. Here we're seeing the more standard die alone, and if we're seeing Prismaticism try to get picks on someone like in the bottom lane, and talking about picks, oh, Justin gets flipped over the wall, has Iron Skin with the shielding there, trying to make it out. Roots not quite connecting to keep him there. But should we see Malthael be able to go down and try to get picks on someone, maybe he'll be able to get more out of that die alone.
Oh, Buds was turning in the top when that all kind of broke out, and he's like, look, we're having a hard time getting turned in. I hope you can make it away, because I'm going to go ahead and finish this turn in. Ended up getting to that bottom just in time to put down the totem. No threat there, but a little bit of wolf run action. You could see those little dog legs were moving quickly. Despite that turn in for Buds, it's going to be No Tomorrow picking up first turn in.
Yeah, the harassment was enough to clear out Team Octalysis for the time being, and No Tomorrow will walk away with first Web Weavers. How much can they get done with it? That's the true question. Can they stack up experience in a way with these Web Weavers, especially with how much damage has been done to the bottom lane, which you can see here purely from the Octalysis and the rotations there. No Tomorrow is going to set their sights on this mid lane. They did have the mercenary camp here earlier on, but it didn't do very much at all. This Web Weaver is getting cleared out fairly quickly.
Sieging potential is there. Traded, waiting for those shields to come back, hoping not to take any more damage. But that is one of the hard parts with triple melee, is it's hard to casually walk into there. With Johanna, it obviously helps. Phoenix has pretty decent wave clear himself, but the rotation over by No Tomorrow going directly, a nice roots follow-up. And No Tomorrow, I was about to compliment that rotation, but that went better than anticipated. And taking Prismat out here for first blood.
Yeah, Jin is looking tanky as he's finished his souls, which means he feels very confident to be able to do something like dive in on a fort if it guarantees them to be able to get a kill on a defender like that. And with that kill, they're a lot closer to 10 than I think they would have anticipated being after just getting the front wall and then having to move up in the mid. Goku and Tomster still duking it out in the bottom lane, but 10 is now here for No Tomorrow, and they're working to see if they can get a second turn in to really compound the issue versus Octalysis.
We had seen there just a moment ago, Goku is sitting on 39 gems, which is a large chunk for his team, and he has clearly struggled. But you have to compliment Tomster on that ability. Goku comes in, nice shadow charge. There's going to be the healing reduction. Last rites, the bunker enough to save him for now. Goku continuing to go in, uses that Ardent Defender. Going to buy him a little bit of time. Now he becomes the priority target before the cleanse comes in. He's able to walk away.
Jin took the last rights damage, but I think the grouping was enough, especially because there is a lot of melee, that the healing was there, and then he got inside. And then, of course, Tranquility was used too, so it was just enough. He went in the bunker, and that saved him from the follow-up from any of Octalysis and the rest. Didn't end up using Purification Salvo, though, but even with that, Team Octalysis gets a turn, so they're not having to deal with a double turn-in setup that may have opened up all of their, or a lot of their, front structures, their tier 1 structures, and that for Team Octalysis is very nice for them. It just comes down to seeing if they can equalize out the damage or do even a little bit more structurally with the increased scaling here.
Get the push into the middle for now, but we also have a little bit of a focus. I was going to say, Last Rites is shortly off cooldown, and Tomster wisely retreats, not willing to fight into those double melees, especially the Malthael. They can definitely do a lot of single target damage there. He does have company though, as Jen has come down. Prismat is in deep, but Johanna's coming in for the flank killing. Beautiful
flank with the Blessed Shield too. Gets him in Prismaticism in front of the rest. One kill, that's Diablo. That resets the souls. Tomster will also go down, this time to the last rites. Casanova wanted to drop out the Horrify, but that was so well done. Buds even putting the cleanse onto Phoenix. Just such a great example of teamwork from Team Octalysis that puts them quite a bit ahead now in this game 1.
Goku, he's gonna live in the back line of No Tomorrow. There is no doubt about that, and him coming in there, it was a Horrify that seemed like it could have saved his life, but Goku just smacks him with a giant hammer. It's like, look man, you're not picking on my friends. Tosses you right into the fray there. Malthael completes the camp at the bottom while the rest of the team now focusing here in the top lane. Is this lane starting to open up a little bit, and 13 will be here momentarily.
Raynor has Hyperion, but Justin is just watching to see if he can get in there. Once he has Blessed Shield off cooldown, it's recognized. And Jin is going to force Justin to back off from that, even using Iron Skin too, so it's a little more scary if he wants to move in here and still look for that Blessed Shield setup. Here he goes, Prismaticism tier 2, the Blessed Shield, Nature's Cure to follow up. Hyperion goes out, and No Tomorrow has survived. Justin coming in and trying to get the setup.
Very good counters there for No Tomorrow. I think the scary part about that, Gilly, Blessed Shield is on a 60-second cooldown. Hyperion, Tranquility, much longer. As we see Lightning Breath is trying to vie and fight for this mid-fort. Ardent Defender used there. As a lot of damage started to come in onto Goku. They will complete the channel. Justin able to walk away there, getting some bonus movement speed from his allies. That gives him a little bit of a lead here as we enter the middle part of Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Two forts down, nearly the top fort too. Octalysis may look for a rotation of that. We see Phoenix already starting to prep that, and an aggressive rotation from Octalysis so that there's no way to defend this. So tomorrow we'll just likely knew that was going to be the rotation for where Octalysis wanted to go. They just get their bruisers because now that they have 13, they have plenty of gems enough to try to get a turn in. So they want to push this mid out. They want to push any lane they possibly can out to get more if they can get these gems turned in.
They're trying. Goku and team. They're holding strong. Shrite trying to complete the channel. Nice jet propulsion. Going to buy a little bit of time. Now they've targeted Phoenix. Cleanse is going to allow him to warp away. Bunker already down. If we get a low target, Last Rites now has priority. There's the reduced healing used onto Jin, but Prismat and team, they're trying to walk away, but they're looking to re-engage now. Last Rites, here we go.
Last Rites and the Purification Salvo, but he is plenty healthy. It's Phoenix who falls first with that Lightning Breath, adjusting himself extremely low as he uses the shielding from Iron Skin, hoping to stay alive. It's just not enough. Buds was chased down by Jim, but a double kill for No Tomorrow will allow No Tomorrow to turn in gems and start working on some web weavers.
It's a really good turnaround there. No, Octalysis thought they had a chance. Prismat self-cleanse, he is in deep, and I don't know if he makes it out of here. Does get a little bit of bonus movement speed. However, Buds, he's getting slowed down. Jet propulsion gonna nip him in the bud. That's right.
2 thumbs up on that one, my friend.
We went there, and he got the kill.
And 2 thumbs up for No Tomorrow as they've started some staggered deaths versus Octalysis in not a time where Octalysis can afford it. Really, anywhere you don't want to do it, but here in the mid game, when No Tomorrow have now caught up with experience, they're pushing along with this mid. Top and bot, they're further back, so they may be able to cycle down to the bot and start working on the fort there, but getting keep towers here, this is going to jump their experience
they still have
up.
Hyperion. Yeah, Hyperion now allows you to siege much stronger. Justin forced to walk away from here. Webweaver's still pretty healthy. Hyperion doing a significant amount of damage. Still no 16. Goku, he's going in deep. Gets the knockback. Bless Shield misses. A little bit of anti-synergy there as Tomster fighting for his life. Still has Bunker in case things get a little bit wild, but they've held the keep. But momentarily, Goku, however, goes in deep. It's forcing out the Ancestral.
5-man Righteous Hammer and then the Ancestral Healing too. It was very well done between No Tomorrow not to use Tranquility and Bunker in an overlap, and unfortunate for Team Octalysis that overlap did come in with the Hammer and the Blessed Shield. That was enough for No Tomorrow to claim the first keep of the game, and now they're just making the right rotations around for what the rest of the Web Weavers did. Up in the top, there's a very large wave. In the bottom, that Web Weaver still slightly there. Someone's going to have to respond to that, and knowing that, No Tomorrow is going to start posturing around the boss.
Well, Casanova completed his Echoed Corruption and also went Ruinous Affliction at 16. So if you do hit 3, since it goes out and comes back, a little bit easier to do. The blind went through. Justin, he's on the wrong side of this, and body blocks are a thing. Bless Shield used. The rest of his team is nowhere near. Justin does have value out of his 16, getting the heal, and now Buds is here enough. So Justin finding a way to survive, and now Octalysis is continuing to fight.
Don't have to worry about mid. They have the camp there. Goku deep in the lines, as you said. Does not have Ardent Defender and falls. This damage output between Jay Shrita now that he has Paint Him Red and Casanova is all stacked up. They find another target. This time it's going to be Draded, who's flipped over into the middle of No Tomorrow. That's 2 kills, Jay-How.
It's going from bad to worse. Prismat tried to hit that so he could jump over, but nice sidestep there. I think they were contemplating maybe going mid and trying to end game. I think that was a bit too ambitious. They're going to go ahead, grab the boss here. With this amount of a lead, they're still a ways away from gem turn-in, but the amount of siege that they've had up to this point has allowed them to do whatever they want. They still have Hyperion. They can siege up with that. Blaze doing a very good job of denying turn-in, and they realize Johanna's there. No Tomorrow is making some excellent decision-making. You'll have to forgive me. I'm just keeping a strict eye on the minimap. Blaze went down. Rhaegar did get his turned in, but Johanna, knowing they could only defend one, sent Malfurion down to contest the top one. That is such a crucial play at this point of the game. Web Weavers would help defend and counter some of the other lanes,
yes.
But now No Tomorrow has potentially game-ending boss here with the Hyperion. It might be a bit too early to call that one, but keep definitely in their sight.
It keeps the pressure on Octalysis, and No Tomorrow don't have to worry about the other lanes being pushed while they stay here. They don't have to make those kinds of tough decisions. It's going to be a purification salvo usage, and Jay Shritta is bruised somewhat with a lower health bar, but the team is standing strong around him so that he can be healed back up by this Malfurion. Boss has taken this keep to half. Justin going forward. Doesn't have the Blessed Shield, but he's trying to keep the team here if he can so the rest of Octalysis can get into the engagement. But Drayden takes a ton of damage.
That lightning breath was on point.
Yes.
Ancestral's going to land on a Goku. Diablo is still bunkered down for now. Last Rites. Last Rites was already used. Drayden is actually going to be the first to fall. Casanova is just poisoning everyone to death here. The oil's going to buy a little bit of time. It's actually going to buy a root there. Goku able to make it out alive. Divine Steed is there. Phoenix the only one fallen. Keep is going to go. No Tomorrow moving forward. They have catapults approaching in the mid lane.
And they'll clear out that wave so that they can get them closer to the core. The bunker was brilliant at negating the last rites on Diablo, but now it's not here for the team. All the defensive cooldowns are gone, and Jay Shritta, it's hard to keep him alive, but he is kiting for his life, stutter stepping like a dream to take down Malthael. He's not 20, so he is gone for 45 more seconds as No Tomorrow approaches core.
Shields slowly falling before the focus turns. Goku's still there, but Jin on the front line has managed to take down Rhaegar, and things going from bad to worse here for Octalysis. Gilly, I do not recognize this team on the red. Is that No Tomorrow?
I do believe it is. They're still having to fight. They turn the lightning breath onto the core. Octalysis will give it another go. This time, Phoenix goes down. This lightning breath staying for forever now that No Tomorrow is 20, and Jay Shritta knocks back the Urel just like Urel's been doing to them, and that surely will be enough for No Tomorrow to take game 1 on Tomb, a map they generally ban, and a map that is very much liked by Team Octalysis.
Who is that team?
What? So in Korea, Miracle beat Genji. No Tomorrow just beats Octalysis game 1. You know, it's just game 1, so we'll keep it slow and steady here, but this might be.
Look, Jimmy damage was legit. It's hard to identify the damage that comes out there as easy as it is to the plays that Casanova was making. His Horrifies were on point. His Corruption finished early. The Ruinous Affliction helped confirm a couple of those late game kills. But Jin on the front line, never wavering, and he just stood there manned up, and he was able to hold that front line, and there was nothing that Octalysis could do to break through that despite that. But Thompson coming in with the clutch bunkers. Obviously, it seemed, as you said, not overlapping the bunker and the Tranquility. All things were clicking in this game. All things. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, but this was a complete game for No Tomorrow, and that's been a rare sight, but that is a very good start to the series.
Well, what amazes me is that it was early game Octalysis was leading. They No Tomorrow got the first turn in, but then Octalysis did get some things done with theirs, and it seemed like, okay, this is the turning point. This is now the part where No Tomorrow is going to start to fall behind, because No Tomorrow has not really looked like the team, if anybody, who would be able to make a good comeback in a game and then be able to take the first keep out and then know and look for win conditions, because that, I feel like, has been some of the hardest lessons to learn for a lot of our NA teams, is that late game shot calling. And this was, like you said, the complete package for No Tomorrow. I'm floored.
I think Octalysis might be floored too. I don't think anybody comes into the series expecting it to start like this. The identity thing that I brought up last week, I'm going to continue to point to it for Octalysis. Triple melee is their thing. They did it last phase as well when they had Cure there. He would flex over onto that with Goku. And triple frontline, sometimes with Ethereal, was the most common one. Here they've done it multiple times now with Malthael, but they've switched up the player in that. And it just felt like the sieging potential, the damage potential in the fights, it's too, I guess, single focus. They don't have a very well-rounded damage dealer. Phoenix, the minute he's popping out the salvo, Tranquility's out, and where's the damage coming in? We did have a heavy focus, and we have had a heavy focus since the triple ban phase on the mages, but going triple melee repeatedly, it just seems like they're going against the grain, and it's difficult for them at times. Sometimes it works, and then other games you get like this, it's like you just have a hard time finding your footing.
Right. Well, if you're a No Tomorrow fan, give a cheer for them in chat, because as we look at the cheer leaderboard for North American teams, they're not in the top 5, but we know that you'll be cheering for them if you are a No Tomorrow fan. Anything sticking out to you? Tempo Storm seems to be catching up to Heroes Hearth.
Endemic made it into the top 5 finally. They've kind of been on the fringe there for a bit, but people starting to come around on that team, picking up some clutch wins, also having the really cool logo. So that helps.
It helps in J-How's mind, at least.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
No bias toward that logo at all.
I mean, you can just wipe away the team names and everything like that. I don't want to have caster bias, but the logo bias I will 100% have.
Well, you know what items J-How will be rocking in game if you see him on the ladder this week. But for now, we're going to move into game 2 between No Tomorrow and